Sweet. Yeah. Yeah. The one I was. Yeah. Okay, so we did Friday. Or
I'll just mute him now.
I'll give it to him, shall
Yeah,
I?
yeah.
And then he, Okay, I guess can you hear me?
Yes, yep.
Sweet. I think this is just on my other. Just letting you know that we're just you're good to go.
Sorry, I was struggling to hear you.
Can you hear me now? Just saying 1 2 1 2.
Yes, yes, a
Yeah.
little better.
Yeah, so this is I'm just on my other Zoom account, so I'm not on the actual presentation account, but I've just have you muted just because everyone's here. But once we start getting into things, then I'll put you up and
Sounds good. Thank you.
all that good stuff. Yeah, so everyone's just arriving. Hey, Gustav, Andre here. Everyone's just arriving now.
Hi.
So this is my
You hear me?
this is my personal account. So once I turn you on the other one, then everyone can hear you. But it's just me and you guys right now. So we should.
Okay.
You guys are good to go. So you guys.
Good.
So yeah, we'll just get you queued up. Should be all good soon.
Do you hear me better now with my?
Yeah, no, I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. I like
Can you
it.
just 1 degree?
Yeah. He'll be fine. No one's gonna care. Sweet, guys. Okay, guys.
Right.
Hello.
I think we're starting
I
now,
don't
guys.
think
You guys should be able to hear Stephen on the other side as well.
There's plenty of seats at the front. You hear better at the front.
You know how to get to the shared screen?
The best people sit at the front.
So just standing by, guys. I'll be there.
Okay. Thanks. I hear John quite badly, but I will hear him better when you switch. Or
Yeah.
okay, good.
Pardon? Oh, okay. If your cell phone goes off during the presentation, there's some sort of fining system, and it's a particular Mountain River Processors fining system. I think it's 50 cents or something, isn't it? Or $50. $50 for a cell phone. Swear words starting with F, it's $20. Starting with I don't know any other swear words.
When do we hear John correctly?
I'm pacing. That's terrible. Thanks a lot for coming.
You guys should be able to hear John, right? Can you not hear John?
Yeah, but it's like an echo.
We've got quite a lot of content to get through.
I hear it in an echo.
To
Okay. I'll mute my microphone.
inundate you a little bit with all the things that we're doing. It's a bit of a problem because we've got a lot of developments. The industry's in a very interesting stage.
Is that better now?
No doubt know.
Okay, sweet.
The hind numbers have been in decline for
Thank
a
you.
long time. The industry's kind of obsessed with velvet, and we're trying to do our little bit in the venison space. Before we start, there's one apology. Graham Brown couldn't make it. Ian Stewart and Nari Stewart couldn't make it. That was all I've been advised, but there's a few other people, no doubt, that got busy and so on. Thanks, Mary and Terry, for coming along, directors at Mountain River Processors, directors of North Bank Station. Of course, North Bank Station's so important to our overall concept. They put in a big chunk of the supply and more or less provide us with that stability that we as a marketing organisation need. More recently, do you want to flick through to a slide? See, I'm skipping ahead of myself already. Today, value is what we're focused on. That's the most important thing, is we need to pay you as a farmer more money. The plant needs more money because all those costs that you're having going up, they're having going up, staff, difficult to get, And for what we're doing, we need high quality staff, but we need staff that stay. It's like the whole chain. We need commitment from the farm through to the market. So all of our partners are long-term partners. You're going to meet a few of them today. Our partners in the US and Sweden are part of our distribution chain. We're trying to market directly to the end consumer, and that's a very important part of it, that long-term relationship. With Mountain River, we're coming up to next year to 30 years. So all of this is a long-term construction of a business that's hopefully getting the returns that we need back to the farmer, because that at the end is what we need to do to guarantee the future of our business. The value in a deer, about 80% is coming from the venison. So we have the loin, we focus a lot on the US market, the hind leg, a little bit into Scandinavia, and the shoulder, and manufacturing US as well, and also Scandinavia actually, and more recently into China. The good thing about deer is that there are other parts that are quite valuable. The co-products is adding $60 a deer, that's about $1 to the schedule. So it's an extremely valuable part of the return. And today we've got Hugh Signal from Alpine. He's going to talk a bit about that space. Skins are relatively small, and bones and offal are a significant component of the value. And bones and offal, it sort of rotates between pet food and quite a lot that's now going to China. Pet food's gone down a bit, but China's gone up. So it depends what we're doing in the processing room, but we try to divert to where the returns are best. Next. So where do we send our venison? We're pretty much split. This is by value: North America, Europe, China, and New Zealand is a significant component as well. James Petrie is going to give his inspiring seminar later on, talking about what he's doing in the New Zealand market. And it's quite exciting what he's up to, him and his team at Merchant of Venison. In Europe, two big markets: Scandinavia, where we're going to talk to Gustav, and Switzerland to a lesser extent, but still a significant market for us. Next one. See, we're missing a few bars here. This is interesting. The 2021, this is the number of deer that we have on contract each year. 2022, 23, about, what is that, about 18,000. And then 23, 24, 25,000. So a big thanks to you for the support for our contracts. It's really important for planning for you, but planning for us. And if we go to the next slide, this is nothing new to you. It's the seasonal pattern of venison harvesting. So we have the peak between October and about April. So the so-called chilled season is happening at the first part, October. And as you as producers know, it's pretty hard to get your deer up to weight in that period. So actually for you, production through the whole season is what's important. So a spectacular price in October is not that super helpful. If we go to the next slide, the green line is our US sales. And you can see there's nothing seasonal about that. There's a little dip at the end, and I have to ask Angus what that's for, but generally our sales each month through the year are steady. Scandinavia, it's still quite steady, but at the moment has peaks and troughs. Well, we've had our project going there for about 5 years, and we had COVID, so that put us back. But in general, the sales in Scandinavia, we don't have a peak in that pre-Christmas period. So it's quite important for our planning. If you go to the next slide, you reflect on the supply season. Our challenge is to convert that into a sales season. So if I give you an example, for example, at the start in October, we were aware that the venison production is going to be in decline. We need to pay our producers a better price. So in Switzerland, we put our price up. We have been selling at, say, $30, so we put it up to 32. And the customers had no issue with 32 until another company that doesn't do the planning thought, oh shit, I've got a lot of production, but I don't have too many sales at the start of the season. So they offered it 28. But our customer then said, well, I said, oh, this is in Switzerland. I said, how's the sales going? Oh, we haven't hardly sold anything. So I thought maybe we pitched our price too high, or, you know, how's this going to play out? Am I wrong? Have I made a mistake? 2 days later, I got a reorder. Oh, the other company had a cheaper price, but they didn't have any product. So the planning and the contracts are extremely important. Another thing the contracts allowed us to do is we saw that with this pattern, we need to spread our kill because it's important for our factory to have a spread kill. We can't just kill everything in 1 month. So we could talk to Northbank Station and say, oh, actually it would help us if you could plan to kill some deer a bit earlier. And we could make that worthwhile because that will help us to achieve our production objectives throughout the season. And with that, we don't have, at any time, we don't have to panic sell because we have our sales plan, our steady sales plan. We have our production plan. We know where the products are going. Gives us some confidence that we come to you as a producer and say, here's the price we can guarantee. And we'd ask you to keep your deer a bit longer, put on a bit more weight, and still achieve the spread of kill. Right, 310. That's my introduction. That's where we're up to. Next slide. Now, introduce Angus, who's rearing to go. You've all heard Angus before. He's our
Angus, you can
importer
be up,
in the
sir.
US, looks after the US, Canada, and Mexico.
I don't
market.
see the screen, John's screen.
So Angus, can I hand it over to you?
Angus,
Well, can you hear me okay? Maybe I'm still muted.
no, you're good.
You got me? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, John. I can see your attention to timing there. So I guess I've got the clock running. But it's great to excuse me just 1 second while I fix a clock here, make sure we're on track. It's great to be with you all this afternoon, and from what a very cold and increasingly dark evening in Northern California. The leaves have changed color. The grapes are coming off the grapevines, and that means seasonal menu changes. So we're pretty happy about that. Lots of opportunity to talk to chefs and distributors about venison. But look, thanks for the opportunity to get together today. If I can't be in Dunsandel, I guess the next best thing is to be zooming in. And I really want to just firstly thank the team, the New Zealand team. So John and Bruce, Rob, Stephen, and of course, Kerry and the staff down there at Mountain River. You guys have put in another stellar 12 months for us. We don't say it often enough, but we are greatly appreciative of your efforts. And of course, all of those behind the farm gate that are doing all the hard work for us up here. So we just hope we're holding up our end of the deal. I would say that there's a couple of it's a bit of a milestone year for us. There are, if I can just get back to the correct screens. fat fingers. There we go. Couple of significant celebrations this year. Our 20-year supply relationship with D'Artagnan, of course, our very important market partner in the Northeast. It seems like yesterday we got those first orders through from D'Artagnan, but they've been a phenomenal partner and distributor for us over the last 20 years, and we'll hear more about them a little bit later on. Secondly, I was going to acknowledge the 30-year anniversary of Savina in the USA. I was at the Peninsula Hotel in 1993 when Savina was launched to great fanfare, and I will say that today, as we did then, we fully subscribe to the principles of Savina for what it stands for the appellation that it is, and the work that it's done in the market over the last 30 years to be really a high quality and acknowledged quality mark. When there was some question about whether or not Savina should be sustained, we were fully behind the idea that it should be. Our distributor market partners understand the benefits of product produced to Savina standard. They pitched the product in the US market as a better than the rest, better than venison from any other origin, and we were particularly happy to be moving forward with Savina. So I just wanted, before we get into a bit of business specific stuff in the US, I just wanted to have a little bit of a segue to an overall US market situation, the economy, I guess the big picture. When we talked last year, I think there was, I guess we characterize it as a fair bit of uncertainty going forward, but we were optimistic, it'd be fair to say. So what we can say is that at this point is that the significant recession actually that many market pundits had projected was coming has not eventuated. You hear a lot now actually about the buzzword, the soft landing, that the US is apparently in for a bit of a soft landing according to many. But it has highlighted a pretty major disconnect between consumer sentiment and the way that they're behaving, their economic behavior and market. So consumer sentiment is actually at a negative level that's only really typically ever seen in a recession. But when you look at inflation-adjusted consumer spending, it's actually above 2019 levels and above the 2019 level trend line. So what it basically means is that consumers' actions in the market and their spending behavior is not matching the words. Now, there's a couple of theories about that. One is that consumers not being so honest about how they feel about the economy. Maybe what they're telling us is more reflects their political preferences. Politics is obviously playing into everything these days, it seems, but maybe if you're a Democrat, you think things are going okay. If you're a Republican, you feel you're not doing as well and the outlook's not so rosy. That's America for you at the moment, I think. The other point, real key point being though, is that through coming out of COVID in this inflationary period, inflation has adjusted income, so that have increased significantly alongside rising cost inflation, so that consumers are essentially feeling okay and continuing to spend while at the same time griping about the prices that they're seeing. In relation specifically to some of the large, sort of macro US hospitality business, one point that has arisen recently is some challenging environment in a couple of the major centers, the big cities. So I would say Washington, probably DC, and San Francisco areas where you've had a triple whammy from the COVID impact. You've seen an exodus of office workers that have left and not come back to the center cities. You've seen the cost inflation obviously there, and also some higher crime in some of these cities. So we are seeing some of the hospitality and food service business a bit challenged in the larger centers, but not so much in the suburbs and the smaller centers that are faring a little bit better. Just to have a look at the Terra Pacific business. Let me find another slide here. Our efforts continue in the two key channels, of course, which are food service and then retail manufacturing. And our key strategy in both of those channels is diversifying where we can and adding value whenever we can. So food service, the sales channels we discussed a little bit last year, fine dining, casual dining, and then there's the resorts and the cruise line business. Our role at Terra Pacific really is maintaining and enhancing relationships. So relationships with our principals in the distribution companies, the sales reps, and outreach where we can to their clients, the chefs on the street, offering added value where we can on the cuts, and offering expertise in terms of service with logistics, operations, transportation, sales tips, and that sort of thing. On the retail and manufacturing side, you've got the three key planks. You've got the in-store mainstream retail, bricks and mortar. You've got e-commerce, the direct-to-consumer, and then meal kits and meat boxes. One very major significant development we've seen in the bricks and mortar retail space is the uptake of venison and venison programs by these key, larger, very big banner retailers. The likes of Kroger and Whole Foods on a nationwide basis, whereas previously most retail penetration had been sort of the provenance of the smaller specialty, often independent retail. So the product has essentially, it's great to see it, it's going mainstream there. So our key efforts there are mainly along the building of partnerships through that supply chain to connect the Mountain River venison to all the way through to the retail meat counter. In both channels, in food service and retail manufacturing, our key messaging to market is always venison is delicious, it's versatile, and it is affordable. On the food service side, especially, value-added products improve yields, and we've got to show the convenience factor to chefs. Show them how they can successfully make money on plate. Going to a lot of work that we've done in market on the food service side of things, both on the national level and the distributor level, or more regional level. In May, we were able to attend the National Restaurant Show in Chicago again. I think it's the third year in a row. In fact, that we've second year in a row post-COVID that we've done that. Obviously, it's the largest North American hospitality show. 50 states, I think 112 countries represented, something like 1,800 exhibitors, and about 75 to 100,000 visitors over the 3 days. So this year we were really fortunate to be on the DIN stand alongside the great Shannon Campbell, and from Germany, showing us his chefing skills. It was fantastic to work with Shannon, and also to have Rhys Griffiths there. I think maybe in his first trip to the US in his new role, and we were able to introduce him to some of our clients and hopefully give him a bit more of a broad brush view of what's happening in the US market. Terra Pacific had 3 clients there that actually had their own booths, so it was a great opportunity to get alongside them, see what they're doing, reinforce and build those relationships and support them. On a regional level, this year we participated in 2 trade shows in the Southeast with our distributor there, Halpern Steak and Seafood. So we're at the Atlanta Food Show in September, and then it's the Orlando Trade Show in September. So Halpern Steak and Seafood have been a key market partner in that region. They supplied basically from the mid-Atlantic states right down through Florida and Texas. This year was pretty exciting. In Atlanta, they booked out the Atlanta Falcons football stadium, where they put us down on the ballpark and invited 2,500 chefs and hotel operators to come in and visit with us and taste products, get alongside their reps to view a really great portfolio of game meats and the other proteins that they do, a lot of big beef, chicken, and increasingly in seafood. Halpern's. So that was Atlanta, was great. Orlando was more focused on the cruise lines and the South Florida resort business. It's a big part. South Florida is a big part, and the islands are a big part of their business down there. So it was good to get along some of the major buyers there. Really, those two shows just give us an opportunity to get alongside the helping and sales reps and make sure that they have the tools that they need in the way of digital content. It might be photos, it might be videos, it might be recipes to get in front of their chef accounts and speak with knowledge about what about our products and what it and what they can do for the operator. So switching now to retail, really the silver lining of COVID was, as I alluded to earlier, some super fast track development of venison for retail. We've seen, I think, venison consumption retail up something like 50% over the last 2 years, and it's on a sustained growth trajectory. Super positive, especially with the likes of these major banner stores picking up the product and obviously showing a lot of support for it. We have 4 key market clients that have significant retail programs. We have D'Artagnan, Force of Nature, Frontier, and Fossil Farms, and we supply these clients either retail private label cut products or primal products, or trim and manufacturing material that they then produce value-added products in their own labels. I've mentioned that Whole Foods and Kroger and so on have had a lot of great success with it. They in turn have therefore encouraged other retail operators around the country to give venison a go. It's one of those situations really where success begets success. So we're looking at that to continue. Ground venison's been the standout performer. Our view is that is an entry point for consumers to try, to enjoy, and then to go back and perhaps try the primal cuts and the steak cuts at a later time. And we expect the growth trajectory to improve in the venison medallions, tomahawk steaks, and other cuts like that. In the protein world in the US, a lot of the larger producers, in order to combat negative perceptions of the animal, ag industry in general, they put a lot of focus on developing their programs to meet label claims that position their products as sustainable. Okay, key claims that we're seeing a lot of increasing in the last 2 years: pasture raised, grass fed, antibiotic free, no added hormones, and animal welfare certified. The general thinking is that packaging with these claims on it are growing at a faster rate than those without, something like 20 to 25%. So there are a lot of focus on making sure that these programs are meeting the consumer demand for these label claims, specifically around sustainability of the meats they're eating. Basically, consumers need to know, or want to know, where their meat's coming from and how it was prepared. And any attempts at greenwashing or not being entirely truthful are being called out. Everyone's got a cell phone these days. It's really easy to check where your steak comes from. It's very, very important, and it's something that retailers are increasingly asking about and are interested in. In terms of the story and how we think you as farmers and growers behind the farm gate can assist our market efforts, there's 3 planks to it essentially here. That the consumers, be it chefs, their restaurant clients, or retail consumers, they love the stories from behind the farm gate. They love hearing about your multi-generational family farming stories. They love any video content, the short vignettes from behind, from the farm, the photos, especially visits to market. Anytime that we see you as farmers, growers, stakeholders visiting the market, there is incredible value that comes out of that. We'll hear a little bit about that shortly. Environmental and animal welfare concerns, as I mentioned, are very, very front of mind. So consumers are increasingly worried about care of the land, land management, holistic land management, regenerative agriculture, very big buzzword the last 2 years. Consumers are focused on that, wanting to find out more about it. They're concerned about climate change, they're concerned about soil health, and they're concerned about what they're putting into their bodies. So these raising claims, again, important. And thirdly, I'd say supply stability, absolutely key. We've put a lot of effort in the last 20 years into growing the US market into a fully, verifiable 12-month program, taking out the peaks and troughs of the season, in season, off season. Our business on a 12-month basis is much more stable now. And we're looking for supply stability 12 months to be able to support that. Realize that that's not always achievable. The growth cycle and the farm calendar doesn't always match market, but John and the team are doing a fantastic job to attempt to make that work. I would say in conclusion, really, that I want to just go back quickly to our 20-year anniversary with D'Artagnan. Again, extremely important client for the business. They were acquired recently by a larger company, which has greatly extended their reach and therefore their opportunity for venison. They've always told us, and we've attempted to support the fact that when we can get farmers in market to talk to their distributor reps and to their chefs, it brings incredible value to the operators and significantly improves venison menu placement. It happened this year. We're extremely appreciative to have had Adam and Sharon Waite and Donald White able to come up in market and work with us, work with D'Artagnan and their reps to tell the story, tell the Kiwi story that can be told best by you all. So I think that's probably my cue to hand over to John and to the team. So maybe you can hear a little bit more about that. But basically, I want to just leave you with a lot of optimism, really, from the US. I think things are going well. We're expecting a good year ahead as we pull into the soft landing, and we're just looking to get more venison on menus and onto retail shelves. So thanks for your time.
Thanks, Angus. So we've heard about D'Artagnan. A couple of farmers went up, and the exciting thing about the trip that Adam and Donald made is that they actually met the chefs. So they don't talk to the marketing people. They go out with the salespeople and they talk to the chefs. So to get first-hand responses from chefs, what they think about the product. So I'm just going to hand over immediately to Donald and Adam and give us a brief outline or brief feedback. Where are you going to start?
I'm going to hold that up here, though.
Yeah.
After Angus, so there's not much more to say, is there? We'd all just want to have a wee breather. But yeah, I feel really privileged and proud to be able to go on a trip to the US and meet chefs and tell our story. And it's not particularly difficult because we just say it like it is. And we're there because we're enjoying what we're doing. And you guys, I can see through the room, you're part of this whole thing. So although Adam and I, for the last trip, were the representatives, we're only representatives of you guys, really, and the background there with Mountain River. John sort of touched on it a wee bit. We meet up with D'Artagnan on this particular trip. They are a long-term customer or distributor, and we end up in their home office in New Jersey and go on a Zoom normally so that they just send us all over the country initially. Then we travel on a daily basis with some of the sales reps out to their accounts. This is their hotels, their smaller restaurants, their clubs, or anybody that's selling venison to, really. So it's twofold, and I'll hand over to Adam a wee bit, but we're there to tell our story, and to tell our story to the sales reps touches their 100 clients at some point. To tell the story to the chef, or better still, the kitchen staff, we can touch multiple more people than that. So it's really important, I think, for us to be able to get closer to them and give them some something real, I suppose, to grab hold of.
Yeah, just to carry on what Donald said, we were very appreciative to have the opportunity to go and to give everyone's story that produces the venison. The chefs, they were just blown away that we're grass-fed. We had slideshows of the farming we do. They just can't believe we're not into feedlots like over there, and just the flavour that we can produce and what the grasses we're feeding them. So on the top there, that's a New York strip and then a leg steak. So we sort of, me and Sharon decided we'd push the leg steak side of it, because everyone knows that New York strip eats extremely well, and the chefs, we made them cook, every restaurant we went to, we made them cook the 2 samples that we had, and they could not believe how well the leg steak ate. It was just melt in your mouth. They just didn't believe us it was from a leg. And that we're feeding it chicory and clovers and lucerne, and it just, yeah, the flavor profiles in our meat. And yeah, so next slide. That's us up in Chicago at the Fish and Fortune headquarters, just with some of the reps, giving them the story too. So when they go out to the restaurants and that, and to their client base, they had our story to share with them as well. There's a young couple of chefs in Philadelphia, and they were running a restaurant called Alexander, and it was in Restaurant of the Week over there, and they were leading the Restaurant of the Week promotion, and that's just giving them a rundown on what we feed the animals and that, and they're very interested. And again, as soon as they tasted it, they were just, wow, this is amazing. Just the same place to just how he's cut it, with just pan-seared it with a bit of real quick, bit of salt and pepper, and actually quite a lot of butter. They love using butter and basting it. Come up real well. Yeah, the front Alexander, it's quite a high-profile restaurant in Philly, and the same too. And they're very up and coming, those 2 chefs, and very forward thinking on what they want to put onto their menu. This is another restaurant in Washington, DC. So this is a Michelin star restaurant, and that's the main owner in the background now I'm talking to, his head chef, showing him the slideshow of the farm. And again, extremely interested in what we're feeding the animals, the pasture fed, and that we could prove what we were feeding to the animals. And this one was from a restaurant in Baltimore. We shot up there quickly after Washington, and we had the leg steak again, and the lady was sitting there. The lady goes, "Oh, hold on, wait there." And she shot off with the leg steak and that, and then she came back and she goes, "I've just made a steak tartare with this." And it's like, okay. Ate it, melt in your mouth. And she'd used a 30-day-old emulsion of soy sauce just to top it off, and yeah, it was superb. And she instantly goes, "I'll be getting me some of this to put on the menu." So she was sitting there while we were just giving her the talk, and just instantly went, steak tartare with the leg steak. Yeah, there she is there. And it's such a well-known restaurant that they queue up for hours outside that one, and she doesn't even have any name or sign writing on the outside. It's just, and she got a mention in the Michelin star. She didn't get one, but they got a mention, a write-up in the Michelin star magazine, this restaurant. And then in Denver, which was our final stop, was Hey Kiddo. And this is another one that won a Michelin star, and it won the Michelin star using Mountain River venison as its dish. So that was very, very good to go and see. And the 2 young chefs and the sales rep on the far end. And that was another thing, we're really impressed with the sales reps, that they're all ex-chefs. So they have that connection with the chefs, and they're passionate about the food and the venison that we're promoting. So it was really good to see that the salespeople are on the same side, pushing our product. It was good. And again, the New York and the leg, they just could not believe the leg ate so well. So we felt we did quite well to push that product rather than the premium one, just to help, because you have a lot more legs to try and get rid of than everyone's just buying your premium product. And so yeah, we think we managed to push the boat out on the leg steak and got good traction on it with the chefs. And that was us. So it was quite a good trip.
Yeah, I could go along with that too, and that when you say, "Oh, this is a leg steak," they sort of look at you and say, "Oh, what sort of stew are we going to do with that?" And then when we did sample side by side, the mouthfeel or the taste or the flavour or how they went was brought them on board. Interesting. We sat outside a restaurant where the rep had been trying to get in for a while, and it's a tips restaurant, which is a bit like small plates, but mostly based around meat. And this guy had been using one of the local products from Broken Arrow in Texas, which is a farm harvested venison, which is apparently fairly unreliable. But bottom line is he said, yeah, I'll give it a try. He chucked a bit on. We packed up and started to head away. He came running down the street, still chewing, and said, I want some for the weekend. Can you do as a case? Or what are you going to say? So, you know, just that's the sort of response you get, and you just come home really, really excited about that. But the only other thing I'd want to say is that the Savannah story, when brought to their attention or reminded of it, that is a real point of difference, and they really love that. To go with the green and the clean and how we farm raise things, the Savannah is really the stamp to go with, I think, and I'm pleased that Mount River stuck with it. It's certainly it's the best of the best. We got another wee clip here, have we? Oh, you missed that bit. Yeah, he basically said, yeah, no, that's not gamey at all. That's really good. It tastes just like beef. No, that didn't go down too good. And yeah, I think there's one more shot here that sort of summed us up. No stories, no, we'll just leave that there. I was about to say the pizza and the hamburger was pretty good as well.
Before he gets too carried away. I mean, good effort, Donald and Adam. Adam's a trained chef. Yeah. So he knows the lingo when it comes to talking to chefs, and I mean it's pretty exciting when your product is appreciated by professional people in another country, and professional people who know food and know what they want. When they appreciate it, there's a few other farmers who've been here, Bruce Hood, who went on the trip, same story. They really like this product. You produce a great product. The factory produces a great product, and our job is to put it together so that it gets to the customers as a great product. In distribution, it's so important. And unfortunately, the venison industry struggled with that because we're polluted by the meat industry, where it's all short-term thinking and not about valuing your product. Adam and Donald say it, Gustav will say it. People who try our product are amazed. It's not wild venison. It's not beef. It's not lamb. It's not chicken. It's New Zealand venison, and it's something special in its own right. Actually, my mate James, he'll wax eloquently on about that shortly, but let's hand over to Gustav, and we've had a project in, is he about? There he
Hello.
is.
You hear?
Just a warning, it's what time? 3:40 a.m., Gustav?
Yeah, I'm sleeping.
Yeah, that's commitment.
Hello,
That's commitment. Over to you, mate.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm very pleased to be able to see you and to be able to talk about what we are doing in the Scandinavian markets. Could I have some pictures, please? Hello.
Have you got the slides? Yep,
Can I see the slides?
it's coming. Just a moment, Gustav, technical hitch. No, the
Anyway,
slides,
meanwhile,
the slides. Pardon?
Meanwhile, I like to also congratulate you, John, for the 30 years with Mountain River. It has been really fantastic. I think we were in it when it started, and we've been working together for this 30 years and more. So it has been very pleasant, and also with the Mountain River community.
You've got the slides.
We might need to change his view to see all of it.
Yeah, but we can't see them. We're in Gustav's slides.
No, there isn't.
No, that's Gustav. Oh, okay. We'll go to the next one. Oh, yeah. Your slides are up, Gustav.
but I can't see them. Or
No, you're not supposed to. It's us that sees them.
okay. So anyway, I'm working with the Nordic countries and especially with Sweden. And John and I have been working together for 30 years, but in around 2018, we decided that we should try to get the brand Mountain River into the market, into the food service and into the retailers. Can I have slide 2?
There we go. Slide 2 is up.
Okay. So our strategy was then to grow in the retail and the food service and with the topic or with the aim to talk about farm to plate. Number 3.
Number 3 is up.
So I'm going to start to talk about the retail. Sweden is divided. Sweden and Norway and Denmark is divided among 3 big companies, which is ICA Group, which is has around 40%, and then you have Eurocash, City Gross, Willys, etc. And they have the rest of the 60%. Next, please.
Next one's up.
Our partner, it took some years to get this moving from 2018 up to now because of the COVID, etc. But today we have a reliable partner in Dagab, which is has about 25% of the Swedish market, and they have around 500 outlets in Sweden. They have supermarket stores, cash and carries, Eurocash, which is a supermarket alongside the Norwegian-Swedish border. There is a huge border trade between Sweden and Norway because Norway has very high tariffs of importing meat or venison into Norway, which means that people are going to Sweden to buy meat. And it's a huge business. In US dollar, it's about 3 billion US dollar a year. So there's a constant flow of people going in between there. Next, please.
Next slide. Next slide's up.
Yeah, thanks. So we have a selection of retail products. First, we do a lot of them are already packed in New Zealand, like medallions, roes, we have diced meat, etc. But we are also doing our own mincing. And then we have developed salamis in Italy that we are selling in the retail. And we also have some dried products and smoked products. But all these products are sold in the Mountain River brand to the customer, which was our strategy from the beginning. But a lot of the time, the customers wants to have their private label. But it took us some years to persuade them that it's better that they do in the Mountain River and that we have a very close contact with them, how the products are developed and what is happening on the market. Next, please.
Next slide.
Merchandising is a very important thing in the retail business here in Scandinavia. That means that you have to, even if you are listed with the stores that we saw before, you have to visit the stores in order to talk with the sales managers, with the purchase managers and sales managers there. To introduce your meat, you have to do demos directly to the consumers. But as we are doing it with our own brand name, we are getting very close to the market because we get a very good feedback from the consumers and from the storekeepers. If what's good, what's bad, what is the customer saying, how is the market, etc. So we are really down to the clay, you can say, with our boats in the market. When we do the merchandising on the retail, one important thing is the follow-up. And so the guys who are going out there, they make weekly reports, which we are following up, so we can have in written and see how the feedback goes and what is positive and what is negative. The most important thing, as we have, it was only this year that we started and got this deal with the Dagab group. But one important thing to get our brand known and also New Zealand venison known, because it hasn't been sold to the retail markets before, just occasionally, you know, but not through a chain like Dagab. So it means that we are doing advertising. For example, this is Willys stores. They have 250 outlets, and each month in this autumn, 4 months in a row, we have been advertising for Rose, for Dice A, for Ramp, and for mincemeat. And these ads goes out to around 3.5 million people. So we get a good possibility to show our brand and people to get to know us. You know. Then we are doing things through Eurocash also, and it's the same there. It's although less people, it's reaching. But the Dagab group in whole, they have around 4.5 million visitors every week, which means that it's a very big opportunity for us to really go out with the Mountain River, venison, New Zealand as a brand, you know. Next, please.
Next slide's up.
So the food service, it was actually there we started. And we started with a company called Menigo some years ago. And we gave them the sole right when we started this project, because if they get the sole right, they start to work with it. And I think it was a good move, because then others started to ask for it. And then they had a 3 year sole right. And after these 3 years, the other companies were on queue to buy our products, you know, and then we could actually choose with whom we wanted to deal. Next, please.
Next slide's up.
So the market shares here in the Swedish food service is Martin Servera 41%, Menigo 16%, and Snabbgross 15%. And these are the 3 companies that we have chosen to deal with. Menigo we started with, but now we are dealing with all the 3 of them. Martin Servera is a huge dragon here on the Swedish market. And actually they are, when we started with what we call the special cuts, we do cuts, very clean cuts for the food service. We started with maybe 10, 15 ton altogether in a year. And this year we think we will do around 80 tons, which is a huge increase, because it has a very good reception. It's ready, pan ready cuts, which actually the inventor of this pan ready cuts was Graham some years back. Next, please.
Next slide's up.
We are also doing a lot of merchandising or visiting to food fairs here in Sweden. But a big dragon like Martin Servera, they have their own food fair. And are some pictures from a food fair in Umeå, where there was around 2,500 visitors. And it's just a food fair for Martin Servera there, but they are only inviting people from the restaurant trade and some small wholesale trade also that they are dealing with. And it was very successful. We gave out around 1,000 small dishes, and we had a tremendous feedback. It's very easy to sell this program that we have to the wholesalers, but also to the restaurants and to the retailers. because it's really pan ready, it's easy to cook, and it has a fantastic, outstanding quality, which the customers are really happy. Once they know it, they start to buy it, you can say. Next, please.
Next slide's up.
This is a test lunch. Martin Servera has a lot of sales places in Sweden, and they have their own test kitchens, and then you have to go around and teach the salespeople. They have around 300 different salespeople. And this is in Enköping, where it was, I think, 20 or 30 salespeople that we were serving. We are doing a presentation of the special cuts, and then we are doing a service. And they taste a little bit of this and that. And in this case, it was very successful. Next picture,
Next
please.
slide's up.
East Test Lunch, they make a rating, the people. And so here is, I think, 15 people. Not everybody, they are randomly picking people to make the evaluation of the lunch. So we were serving a venison tartare, a venison tataki, a grilled tree tip, and baby topside. And we really got very high scores on everything, on all the parts here. And the feedback is tremendous. And like somebody said, tasted wonderful, good info, because people don't know how good New Zealand venison is before they tried it. Like the previous talkers said when they visited the USA, if you just try it, and they are so astonished how good it is. And it's nice to see the details and see when they are selling it, so they know it. But there is a lot of work to get inside there, but we are on a very good standing now with Martin Servera as well as Menigo. Next, please.
Next slide's up.
They are also we are doing extensive advertising in the retail, but we are also doing in the food service. And Martin Servera is this was on their front page in something they call färskvaror. It means meat, and it was for 2 months they had it. And what you see here on the front page was the tender strip flat, actually, and they priced it very well, and they were sold. Actually, now we are sold out and booked for nearly whole next year of the tender strip flat. So it's and they also advertise the petit tender on the other side there, and the boulard. And it's just, it's the same thing there. So now we have to start to divide between the food service, which volumes they are going to get, which is a very pleasant situation. But in my opinion, New Zealand venison is a very scarce product. It's a very small volumes, and on a global basis. And it really should be, the demand should be much bigger than it is today, but people don't know about it. And once you have a big demand, we all can benefit from it by slowly increasing the prices. But you need that good reputation. If you produce a top product, it needs to be from a very good deer from the farm, which has lived in good conditions, and then onwards through the slaughterhouse and all the way to the plate, so to say. So it's an important chain that we are all in. Next.
Next slide's up.
This is some advertising we did with Snabbgross, which belongs to Dagab. What's interesting with Snabbgross is that it's a kind of mix between the food service and the retail are somehow blurring together. So this Snabbgross, they have also private people coming and buying. And it's an interesting concept anyway. So advertising and merchandising is the main thing once now when we have a good partners. Next, please.
Next slide's up.
Then we have a special product. We were exhibiting together with a company called Menatti. It's an Italian company in the Anuga this October. Anuga is the biggest food fair in Europe, you can say. It has millions of visitors, and it's a little bit like the food fair, the big food fair in USA. I think it's even bigger, but it was really good. We have done a joint project with Menatti, who is a salami and charcuterie producer in the north of Italy. And we were exhibiting together with them. And we had visitors actually from all over the world. And we were also presenting our venison, of course. But the main target was the charcuterie. And we had a lot of visitors. And to the left, in the corner there, you can see my colleague Michael, and then it's Jacques from Cassick, which is the importer of Mountain River venison in Switzerland. And they are going to start up from summer to buy also the charcuterie venison products, which is interesting. So it's a kind of widening and further developing, because mince is very good, but it's a basic start, you know, and mincing has not a very big added value. But if we start to make products with a little bit more added value, we can all gain for it, but it takes some years to build it up. This is the brochures and the presentations we had for the clients. And what we do is we do 3 types of salamis, and we do a bresaola and a dried product called Slega at the moment. Next picture, please.
Next slide's up.
So advertising, merchandising, and then Instagram or social media is very important. A lot of chefs and now also consumers are following us on our Instagram page. We are also having a cooperation with an Instagram man called Quicken in Sweden here at Quicken 70 at Quicken 51, and he has around 140,000 followers, and he's a kind of has a very big influence. For example, when we started to do this, and there was no the demand was not so big for some of our cuts. Once he starts to show dishes and things like that, we can see that the demand among chefs are increasing, you know. So it's social media is very important. Next picture, please.
Next slide's up.
Then we are doing some events also. For example, Stockholm Barbecue Festival, where it's a festival where most of the chefs are coming, and there were around 3,000 people, and we were actually doing sandwiches with venison, and it was very popular. Next picture, please.
Next picture's up.
So the roadmap from farm to plate. What shall we do, and what are we going to do? More of the same, actually, because we know that our concept is working. So we need consistent quality. We need good farming condition. We call it nature's way, but it's actually like Donald has expressed it, that it's just what we do, you know. But you need just to write it down what you do. That's the whole thing. We need to have a high service level on our side here. So this is how we maximize customer satisfaction, keep existing customers, get new customers, and with this we will have a long range stability and profitability that we can slowly build up this fantastic meat venison in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Gustav. I could keep going too for quite a long time. Quite a lot of interesting points in there, but we've got Hunter. We're going to zip to China, right?
There we go.
Hunter McGregor's
Hunter,
colleague in Shanghai.
can you please unmute?
He couldn't come on the Zoom. It's blocked apparently, so he's on the phone, right?
Yeah.
Thanks, Hunter.
Yeah. Hey, Hunter, can you just unmute yourself?
Any luck?
I'm just asking him to unmute himself now.
Oh, okay. The unmute button.
Yeah, he has to turn it on.
Oh,
Zoom.
okay. Sorry?
Hey, Hunter. Trying to get her onto him. Can you see it?
No.
Should be on there. Tell him to call again, maybe. Hold on a sec, guys.
He probably gave up, eh? We've got a display up the front here of cuts, the special cuts that Gustav talks about. This little piece of meat, we get 2 of those from each deer. There's a restaurant called Blackstone in Sweden, and they started using this. So Blackstone is, you cook it on your table on a stone, hot stone. So they take this piece of meat, they cut it into 4 portions, 100 grams each, and they sear it with a bit of color on the outside, then put it on the stone and present it. They use about 18 tonne a year, which is just about 120% of the product that we produce. So we have to buy a little bit extra in from others, but the industry's gone from bone and legs to the 4-cut leg, but Blackstone couldn't use.
Can you hear me now?
Meat.
Here we go.
Was that me or someone else?
Hello.
Hunter on. Righto.
Testing.
Hunter, I'll shut up.
Yeah,
Am I here?
Welcome, Hunter. You're
Yeah,
on.
Hunter, you're on.
Am I here?
You're
Oh,
here.
excellent.
Yes,
Excellent.
you're here.
Yep. Sorry, Zoom's blocked, and I'm at a kid's performance. I'm outside of my car. So if I hear a bit of noise in the background, it's not me. So there'll be some slides on that they'll just flick through. What I talk about probably won't link too much to them because I knew that I wouldn't be on Zoom. So I sort of thought I'd talk about 3 things: A, the economy up here; B, how that economy is affecting us because it's pretty challenging; and then the future. What are we going to roll out in the next wee while? So I'm pretty sure you're all aware the Chinese economy is not doing that well. It's actually probably a lot worse than what people think. And consumer confidence has gone down big time. So, and at the moment, there's really no sort of way out of building that consumer confidence in the short term back. And you're probably all aware that the lamb prices are falling through the floor, and it's going to be very tough for lamb farmers in New Zealand for the foreseeable future. What actually happened is that we have a national holidays, sort of 7-day holidays in October. And usually after October, the local lamb price starts to go a climb because demand, we're heading into winter. That's when they consume a lot of lamb. What actually happened is the price fell in half. So that means demand here for, it's not just lamb, but for everything is very low. And really, consumer confidence thing is they're not doing that. The economy's not doing that well. So, and it has flow-on effects for everybody. And I think, the underlying sort of factor is probably, housing prices here have fallen for the first time ever, or in living memory for about the last 30 years. And people, there's just a lot of challenges around. So that has massive effect on the restaurant trade. So for us, we're still rebuilding after COVID. All the COVID restrictions have gone, which is great. But demand is very low. So what does it actually mean, in real terms? I'll give you actually three concrete examples. So one restaurant that we supply a lot of product to, pre-COVID, their average check for two people would be about, say, 400 RMB, which is about, say $50, $60 New Zealand for two people. That's sort of like a nice coffee shop, not fine dining or anything like that. That's cut in half. It's now 200 RMB, so about half of probably about $30, for two people. So people are still going out, but they're consuming less. They're consuming the cheaper items on the menu. So that's a real challenge for a New Zealand venison, which is a lot more expensive than everybody else. The other one is another example is there's a German restaurant chain that had 5 locations pre-COVID, and each location would sell a hell of a lot of venison over the autumn period, autumn and winter. They're down to 2 locations, and their venison consumption's down about 80% per location. So the demand, but they're all struggling as well, the restaurants. And then you go into the hotel scene. Hotels are really struggling. F&B, the whole industry's changed there. We used to supply a lot of hotels, and we don't anymore. And I don't think they'll be coming back. To be honest, we've sort of stopped chasing hotels because they're sort of a bit of a waste of time. The whole industry's changed. So it all sounds very doom and gloom, but there's still plenty of positives and plenty of opportunity. So what we're doing is, we're rebuilding our restaurant trade. We're dealing with some really good hotels. They're doing okay if they've got a decent restaurant. The top end, the Michelin star guys, are going really well. They haven't really missed a beat. And that's where, Mount River Venison, we sit in there. Surprisingly, you wouldn't be too shocked, but I've never seen any other venison from any other company in a Michelin star restaurant. It's always been us. Which is good. So, the quality's there. Well, also what we're doing is we're going direct to consumer. So we're building online channels, and, we're taking orders online mainly through WeChat. We're using a very environmentally friendly packaging, a good polystyrene box and some ice, and we courier stuff to people. And that's going really well, and there's a lot of upside in that. What we're doing is we're doing events as well, using the restaurants that are using our products. We're hosting events. We're partnering with other people, because once people try the product, they actually quite like it, but before they try it, they've got no idea about it. It's probably the same in every other market, and that's going quite well. And I think the real important thing, the real thing that we see is good future here for Mount River's product is because of the quality. The quality is so much better than everybody else, and we're well aware of that. So, what you guys are doing on farm, which is fantastic. We need to keep that going, and then also what the team are doing in the processing facility. Because what we receive here is second to none. And, people always comment about how good the quality is. Everyone is surprised, even the Michelin star chefs. They go, oh, shit, that's pretty good stuff. We'll put it on the menu, which is great. So, there's a lot of challenges around the market here, but we're pretty confident. We've got some fantastic product. We've got some, fantastic ways we're going to grow what we're doing. And, it's going to be a fun ride, 2024. And also, just one last thing, if anyone is traveling around the world and swinging by Shanghai, come and say good day. Happy to host you, show you around, take you out for a beer, a coffee, or even a wine. But you know, China is a interesting place. It surprises everybody that comes here, and it's still a fantastic place to visit. So stop over on the way through somewhere and say good day. I'll leave it at that. I'm going to get back to my daughter's performance. So we'll catch you guys later.
Sweet. Cheers, Hunter.
Thanks a lot, Hunter. Thanks for taking the time out to give us that little insight. So the other part of the China, another part of the China part, that pie chart from before, if you can remember that, is the co-products, the Asian co-products. And we've partnered with Alpine Deer for 20 years, I think, pretty sure, 20 years. So long-term relationship there, and Alpine, founded by Sir Tim Wallace, very focused on extracting the value and having a New Zealand participation through to the end consumer in the co-product space. So I'd like to invite Hugh Signal to update us on that. I'll give him all the technology. So he's
Thanks, John. Great to be here. And yeah, collectively, I think it's fantastic to come together and, you know, celebrate the value that is created in this space, and in particular, you know, the Mountain River venison value chain. A lot of more commoditized trade, doing it particularly tough at the moment. So, you know, certainly Mountain River and the tenure with which they have gone about marketing venison, I think, is something pretty special. I'm here to talk about venison co-product. So please consider me for the next 10 minutes your subject matter expert on deer penises. First, next one, please. Bit of a crash course. Having an affinity with the animal, I'm sure we all here have some basic understanding of Oriental co-products, but this will hopefully shed a bit more light on what goes on in that space. We've got the what, the where, the who, and the how. First slide, or next slide, please. Okay, what? Now, what is an Oriental co-product? Well, first, I think you have to get a basic grasp for traditional Chinese medicine, because that is where deer co-products are consumed. Conceptually, Chinese medicine is all about qi, and qi is a life force, and it flows within your body, and it needs to be in balance, and that's where yin and yang come from. Now, disease and illness is basically an imbalance of qi. So traditional Chinese medicine will rebalance the yin and the yang to deliver more qi and health. Now, deer co-products, they fit into traditional Chinese medicine because they strengthen the yang. And that'll come up a bit later on as well. So that's a bit of an insight into TCM. The particular products themselves, I've categorized it in two columns here. Some products come from every animal, and some products come from gender-specific animals. So from all deer, we get a tail. We get 4 sinews, we get blood, and we get bone. And from some of the deer females, we get placenta. In raw form, that's gravid uteri. So from pregnant hinds, we get velvet, and we get pizzle from the stags. Next slide, please. Where? Now, where is all about the consumers and the channels. Funnily enough, for a traditional Chinese medicine, the where is China. Particular point of interest for this room as Mountain River Venison suppliers. Mountain River Venison is the only venison marketer in New Zealand that has access for 100% of its deer co-products directly into China. A lot of other processors have some Chinese eligible plants or have no Chinese eligible plants. That can work both for and against, but for the purposes of this discussion, it's very much about China. Now, Typically, sorry, spiritually, the home of deer in China is in the northeast. But in the northeast, the markets are very traditional. And over time, we've found that they are less progressive and less transparent. So with Mountain River Venison Co-product, our focus is around southern China, in particular Guangzhou. Much more opportunity for value creation down south. And the thinking is a lot more progressive and a lot more evolved than what it is in the north around value chains. So co-product customers in the south like the idea of working in a short value chain and adding as much value as possible. Some of that thinking isn't subscribed to up in the north. The other point with China as a market is that importation risk is ever present. Now, great example of that last week with the change in import protocols for frozen velvet into China. So co-product exists in this very niche space, and there's always risk that product is held up, product is turned around, or product is ordered to be destroyed. So lots of active management required in that space. Next slide. The who is all about the consumer. Now, the great thing, or probably the best thing to portray for you is a consumer persona, but I've got a couple of examples here, but there's this idea I'd like to share in terms of age and stage. Now, traditional Chinese medicine, you don't always need it, and at certain stages of your life, you'll have a felt deprivation. There'll be some part of your lifestyle you can't sustain or that you're sort of losing control of. And at that age and stage, Chinese consumers will seek out traditional Chinese medicine. So traditional Chinese medicine, again, will aim to rebalance the yin and the yang to deliver more qi, and that will help correct whatever deprivation you're experiencing in your lifestyle. So I've got some examples here in terms of a who is a co-product consumer, corporate executive with a stressful life. He might look towards some velvet products for more energy and vitality. An aging retiree with declining mobility, deer sinew would be a good option for joint health. And deer tail would be sought after in terms of tonifying the kidneys and strengthening the yang. Another one, an expectant mother will quite often come up with a postpartum nutrition plan, and that will involve deer product that can help her recover from the stresses of childbirth. So just some examples of who these people are and why they're consuming deer product. The last point on this one is deer product is a thread within a cultural fabric that is TCM. So this stuff's built in, like you don't need to educate. You don't need to tell them or help them understand why they should consume it. Like it's passed down from generation to generation. The oldest documented use of deer velvet and TCM, I think, is 2,000 years old. So it's pre-built in. The demand is pre-built in. But what we have to do is we have to better understand the culture. We have to better understand TCM in order to come up with innovative ways of creating more value, better servicing the demand. The demand's there. We don't have to create it, but we've got to do a better job of servicing it. Next one, please. Okay, the how. So what I've got here is some examples of how the product is consumed. So first, I'd just like to revisit deer co-product. It strengthens the yang. Yang warms the body. It's a hot function. Yin is a cooling function. So deer product is predominantly consumed in cool seasons. So much like venison, where some of those graphs over the year show different consumption trends, the same exists in co-product. The traditional format for consumption of deer co-product is either in whole dried format. So we take the part out of the animal, That part will be trimmed, it'll be dressed, and it'll be dehydrated. Now, dehydration is the primary format for wholesale and retail of this product because it's just the old way of preserving it. You take the moisture out, it lasts for longer. Once it's dried, to get it into a format that you can consume, it's rehydrated. Now, typically, consumption of deer product from a traditional format will happen through steeping in alcohol. So that'd be soaking it for a long period of time in a relatively high octane alcohol, or it will be cooked in a soup. Next slide. Okay, so this is what dehydrated co-product looks like. Pizzle on the left, tail in the middle, sinew on the right, and then a couple of examples of velvet slices underneath. There's a huge amount of pride that goes into dehydration and the presentation of dried product. Every piece of deer co-product that you see dried in the market, it's like a little work of art. You know, someone's taken that ugly, part from the animal, and with years of skill and technique, they can turn these things into very presentable little items. And in China, they can do a beautiful job of that. But for the purposes of this audience, where we're talking about value creation, in that whole dried format, the ability to add value is limited. So quality and a consumer's perception of value is all about the aesthetic, what it looks like. And it's a real sensory thing. Like, you can go to a wholesale medicine market in China, big market, there might be thousands of stalls within this market. There might be 50 to 100 stalls selling exactly the same thing, all looking like that. And people will go around, they'll pick the product up, they'll feel it in their hands, they'll smell it, they will have their own subjective understanding of quality, like what they're willing to pay for. Grandma told them, when you buy a tail, you've got to buy the short, fat ones. Or when it comes to, sometimes there's issue in these markets with counterfeit product. So the sinews, at various times in the past have had the little dew claw left on so that people could look at it and say, well, I'm going to pay for that, and I know that it's deer. It's not coming off a bobby calf or something. Pizzle, counterfeit deer pizzles come from seals. So, the little H-bone that the plant's sawing out of the pelvis of the animal, they'll leave that on in some examples so that when someone picks it up, they can see the H-bone, or they can see a tuft of hair on the end of the foreskin, and they can say, that's a deer, I'm going to buy that. So whole dried format, really traditional. Ability to add value is limited because people have every individual consumer has their own understanding of what value is. Next one, please. My point before around some of the markets, these traditional medicine markets, very homogenized, hundreds of stalls all selling exactly the same thing. They've all got their little networks of consumers. So the value chain becomes longer, the transparency becomes less, it's a murkier thing. It's harder and harder to see through to the consumer. So contemporary formats are the way forward for the New Zealand deer industry when it comes to co-products. Some examples of this, you've got the same whole dried product, but all of a sudden you put it in a package, you give it a brand, you elevate its value proposition. With your brand, you can then tell a story. With that story, you can then communicate unique selling points. Beyond the whole dried format, you can continue to add tangible value to the product. You can break it down and turn it into more valuable formats. From a whole dried product, you can turn it into a powder. A powder becomes an ingredient. That ingredient becomes saleable to a manufacturer who's going to turn that ingredient into all sorts of different formats of product. Powder can then go into tablets and capsules. It can go into cosmetics. It can go into food and beverage. So you just expand the opportunity to capture value. Within the more traditional realms of consumption, you can add further value Some of these vacuum pack products are basically sous vide soup packs. So you take quite a traditional soup recipe with deer product in it. It's got lots of other traditional Chinese herbs and products in there as well. They pre-cook it, they freeze it down, and then that can go into a food service channel. The food service channel can deliver it to a restaurant. The restaurant can put it in a pan, flash it up to temperature, and then put it on a plate. So in the middle there, the vacuum pack there is basically cut up, rehydrated, and sous vide deer sinew. And then the picture of it in the bowl, the spoon itself has a small piece of deer sinew that's been cooked up and ready to eat. So that's come from a pre-cooked food service package that the product has essentially gone from the plant, frozen into market. They've added the value to it in market, and then it's going straight into the restaurant and into the dish. So contemporary product formats are the way forward in terms of creating new value. And it's a happening thing, but it's such a mature market, very traditional market, that a lot of these paradigms take a long time to break down. There's a lot of convention, there's a lot of trust in that traditional whole dried format. So you need a great story, you need a very compelling sales proposition, and you need a lot of support and education to get them over the line and get them excited about these new formats. Any contemporary format, you can add value in two ways. You can add the tangible value, like I say, you can further process the product, or you can add the intangible value, which is brand it, distribute it, get it closer to the consumer. My final point, long-term goal for Deer co-products has to be around value creation. We have to keep doing more, we have to keep pushing. And capturing more value is about social and cultural alignment. Now, the cultural alignment, that's just about us getting out of our own heads and empathizing with the Chinese consumer, understanding more about who they are, what their culture is, what their beliefs are. And then social alignment is about trends, and they are very liquid, they change over time. But we have to work harder to get up to speed with how people are consuming. If we can understand more about TCM and we can understand more about the consumers, then we're going to be able to capture more value. Thanks.
There you go. It's change over. Thanks, Hugh. I mean, that's a fascinating part of the revenue coming from a deer, and hopefully for you something interesting out of that from our pizzle expert. Didn't really explain too much about how he could identify what a donkey pizzle and a deer pizzle. Can you tell the difference? Oh, he reckons he can. Anybody want to try? Should have a little competition one day. Anyway, this thing about access to China, it's pretty important. You saw on one of the early slides, China's, it's a good third of our value. Ian Stewart was pretty keen on the China thing and made sure that Mountain River Processors was the first plant in New Zealand to be listed for China. And that's proven over the years to be something pretty valuable. And at the moment, it's extremely valuable. So I'll pass on to Kerry, and he could just give you an update on what's happening at the plant. Needless to say, everybody so far has said the plant's so important. It's an important part of the value chain. All these products they produce, it's really tremendous. And I would say, from my observation in talking to my colleagues in the industry, the factory out at Rakaia is doing so much more with each deer than any other plant. And that's just critical to getting value. Oh, you've got to have this.
Yeah, after you rip it away. Thanks, John, and welcome everyone. I need notes. My memory's going with age. So firstly, welcome, especially to Mary and Terry, our board members here today, Adam. We work in close proximity all the time, so it's really good. Another couple of thank yous, my management team. Couldn't do it without them, really. I don't very often get out of the office, as they keep telling me. They don't see me in whites very often, but I'll wear that one. And you farmers for supporting John and ourselves. It's brilliant. So I suppose in the last 12 months since we were last here, with the support of our board, we've not long ago taken delivery of a stake cutting machine, which is a bit of a first. We've taken delivery of it. John's supported that financially, so that's good. But we've got plans going forward now for the next over the next 18 months to purchase 2 more pieces of machinery as replacements, but more technology, helping us deliver what we are delivering and hopefully improve it. So it shows the commitment that we're here for a long time and we're not going anywhere. The factory's brilliant. And as John said, I don't mind beating our own drum. I think we're pretty good at what we do. So I don't think there's any harm in that, saying if you're good at your job, you should pat yourself on the back. So once again, to the team, thank you for that. The plant itself, it's, you know, as we know, it's 30 years old, but people walk through it, can't believe that. The upkeep we do and look after our plant helps us achieve what we're achieving. So that's really good. To our other clients overseas, Gustav, Angus, Hunter, they all make it happen as you guys make it happen. So that's really good. And just lastly, because John said I was only allowed 3 minutes, the invite's always there for you to come and have a look through. We've got nothing to hide. Well, sometimes we have, but we put that away before John comes. So yeah, just, you know, we've had Ron Schroeder and Luke Thompson through today, and yeah, just give us a call, make a plan, and come and visit. The good hour and a half. Coffee pot will be there. So yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Gary. You get the award for being on time.
Thank you.
I think you know, for anybody, it's an interesting visit to the plant. If you get a chance, talk to Dave. He's in charge of the boning room now. He's the person I immediately go to when I get to the plant. We communicate every day. He's doing a fabulous job sorting out what looks like, if you go in that plant, to me, it looks like a fucking shambles. I don't know how he does it, but he seems to know where it's all going. For me, it's all on spreadsheets, and that's what I can see. I can understand that, but when you see guys throwing meat or running from here to there with bloody packages and boxes and labels and a bit of swearing, to be fair, it's quite an operation. Pretty interesting and well worth having a look at. James Petrie, merchant of venison, local market, that 10%. He doesn't do all that 10%. Does about half, I suppose. Maybe a bit more, no. But anyways,
more than the Germans.
Pardon?
Do more than the Germans and the French.
No, not quite, not the French. Anyway, he's pretty interesting projects he's involved with, so I'll just pass over to him. You need all this equipment.
Need all this, right?
No. Sure.
Right. Hi, it's really good to be back here again another year. I actually do quite look forward to meeting all you people, because even hearing from Gustav and seeing and hearing all the stories, it's valuable information that I try and take back to the people I'm trying to sell the venison to. So, right, what's happened in the last year? Bloody heaps, actually. Boys, what's happened? Right. I had in the 60th. If anyone was worried about it, that it was bloody brilliant. Thank you. The police didn't turn up, so that was a bonus. And luckily, as you can see here, we had the guys here from Masada Grill came and did all the catering. And it was such an amazing experience that they provided. So I had to get them to come along to this, and I've been really keen to show it to you. Now, there's 2 Chileans and an Argentinian. And Carlos, he's from Chile. He worked in a restaurant that sold only wild game that they harvested in the restaurant, everything, even beaver, and who doesn't like a bit of beaver? But anyway, he, like they're really excited about it because they've got all the different stuff. They've got tongues, they've got hearts. John gave us a whole deer to provide to cook for today, and it's a real credit to them what they do, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what they've come up with. Right, next one. Oh, you've got Carlos. Well, here he is, the man himself. He's going to come and tell us a bit about what he's got on today. You'll need this now.
Just like that, it's fine. All right. Hi everyone. So my name is Carlos. There is Hector and Nacho over there. So we are a group of Latin people who try to bring our flavor, but we try to use like the product you guys got here. So I was listening to you guys about like how important it is to use the whole product. So this is what kind of like we want to show today to you guys. It's kind of like whatever we did today, whatever we prepped yesterday, it's all come with venison. It's all about venison, but it's not just sirloin. It's not just about tenderloin. It's more about, those cuts that no one else is using at the moment, at least here in New Zealand. So yeah, hope to see you there soon. Thanks.
Good. Thank you. Champion. Right. Okay, this year we decided we'd do a few BidFood trade shows. How do we get in front of our customer? Gustav touched on it too. So I had a bright idea we'd do some BidFood trade shows. So the first up, we went to Queenstown, and we're very, very lucky that the deer industry loaned us Graham Brown. And when you go to a trade show, I've never done it before, and I thought, what the hell have I done? And I thought, I'll do this one and get out of it, won't do any others. But when you go into a trade show or a kitchen or trying to meet new clients and you have Graham Brown with you, it's like it's like going into a fight and having your best mate Muhammad Ali with you. He's a bloody legend, eh? He's a real credit. Anyway, so as you can see, we did Queenstown, Rotorua, Tauranga, Wellington, and Christchurch, and it's very interesting to go to this sort of thing because, like, we had, as you can sort of see a bit there, we had the other big meat companies, one on one side and one on the other, and like we were just inundated with people and the stories that we could tell them about what you people produce, and then they get to try it and the difference in it. It's an absolute honour to be able to sell the and get them to taste it. We had the ribs, we did rump, and Brownie got some wild porcini mushrooms that he harvests, and we had that with a bit of mushrooms, the wild porcini mushroom, and then we had the cold smoked, and it was an absolute hit, and it's great fun. And I was going through the list of the people we met, the clients following up afterwards, and one lady said, look, yours was a real standout at the show. She said, there's only one other show we go to, and that's Fine Foods in Auckland. And as I learned from John, when you're talking to someone on the phone, you're on the computer Googling up what Fine Foods is. And it says, do you want to find out more about it? And of course, silly me hits yes. And then they're on to me and they wouldn't let me alone. They wanted me to go. I think it was 7 weeks out from it. And these things it's a biannual event. They have like up to 10,000 people come through over 3 days. I've never done anything like this before. I said to my wife, Angela, I said, oh, we should do this. And she says, no, we're not doing this. We're too small. You've only just started. Don't. I forbid you. I talked to Brownie, and Brownie says, oh, shit, yeah, we'll do that. This is great. We'll do that. So then I'm stuck in a dilemma. And I can't let Brownie down, so we went and did it. But for a while there, I thought, shit, I could either end up single or dead or both. But it's amazing. The whole team, everybody came in, got stuck in, and we did it. And we had a warning from one one guy, he said, look, you've done really well at the big food shows. He said, but this is a really big step up. And he says, I don't know if, you know, like you want to be pretty careful. So we were nervous about it. But with Graham Brown and the support of John and Bruce were out the back of the show washing all the dishes in cold water, I might add. But like we did it, and it was a really, the amazing people we met from it, and the add-ons that you got from it, stuff that you wouldn't, you didn't realise it was there, and the opportunities that were there. So we got so this is a stand we sort of knocked up in 6 weeks, and we went there, and Angela, we had all the wee plans drawn out, and there's a lot of detail. You have to have all the right power and everything. So we turned up at the stand. It was supposed to be an L-shaped stand. Well, it wasn't. It was just a wall. And like we're looking at it, and I said, well, shit, this isn't what we ordered. And Angela said, no, it's not. So we went back to the front sign-in desk, and I said, look, this isn't right. And they said, oh, no, that's it there. And then the woman came along who's organised, and she went, oh, hell, I forgot to send you the final layout, didn't I? I said, yes, she did. But luckily she came along and we fixed it. So like, we had 3 days there, and it was an absolute hoot meeting people from all over New Zealand who came to it. It's that bigger event. And we even get invited to the ones in Australia now, but we won't be doing that. Here's just some other shots of the team there. There's Fred, the guy on the left. I don't know if you remember from a few years ago that does the boot on whale with the venison blood from Akaroa Butchery. Me, my daughter Bridget, and Graham, and Angela's managed to get out of that shot. Oh, there she is. But yeah, it was a real hoot, and it was good fun, and it's just helps us understand the industry we're in. Right. Right. After that, we had a ring from, we've been supplying Lone Star now, I reckon, for 8 years with venison. And we had a few years off with COVID, so, and they rang up and they said, look, we want to do something with Joe's Garage. Joe's Garage is their sister cafe / restaurant, which is sort of like your more everyday, a bit cheaper. And so, again, I rang my great mate Brownie, and off we go. And so we turned up there, we had some ossobuco, we had some mince, and we had the ribs. So the ribs were an absolute hit. They just loved that. Brownie was showing them how to do it and all this. And then he did his ossobuco, which was stunning. And then he said, I'll make some burger patties with the mince. And of course, the guy in the camo gear there, the head chef, he said, oh, what fat will we put with it? Well, he got shot down. He said the wrong bloody thing there. No fat in it. So Brandy made up his famous burger patty mixture, which has only got 5 things in it, I think. It's got the potato flakes, thyme, salt, sugar, bit of Worcester, hang on, and it has got a 6th one. It's got a bit of Worcester sauce and a bit of Dijon mustard. Just mix it up. That was the patty. Well, we ate the patty, and it was just stunning. It was funny because he was cooking it on the cooktop in the back there. And usually when they're cooking burger patties, it's all fat and stuff and smoke coming up. Nothing. I said, you sure that bloody thing's on? He said, no, it's good. Anyway, he cooks it up, and then we've got the end product here, the burger. And it ate sensationally. And the nice thing about it was there was no fat in it, because if you bring fat into it, you bastardise your venison, because it is bloody unique. And Gustav said that to me. He said it's unique protein. There's nothing like it in the world. You knew that you were eating a venison burger because it was nice, it was clean, it wasn't fatty and greasy. And we had Tina Duncan, who started White Tie Catering, and she's just put out a cookbook, and she was there, and she said, I'd never order a burger, but she said, I would order that again because it was beautiful. It was clear on the palate. So at the end of it, they were really fizzing about the ribs. And I asked everyone, oh, what did everyone think? And they asked me, and I said, well, Yeah, the ribs are a no-brainer, I suppose, for you guys. But I said the thing that I was most proud of was the burger, the humble burger, because everybody does burgers, you know, like, but this was unique. I knew it was a venison burger and it wasn't overdone with anything. There was a lady down in Cromwell, and they make a venison smash burger. And for anyone who knows what a smash burger is, it's just basically fat with a bit of meat in it. So they've got all this pork fat and they've minced it up and put a bit of venison with it and they call it a venison smash. It's not. It's a fatty, bloody pork burger. That's all it was. So we're really proud of that. So we got it to go through the whole chain throughout New Zealand. And I was talking to Mary before, and she went into the one at Wigram, the Joe's Garage, and tried it. And they said, oh, they were really enthusiastic about it. And they said how wonderful it was. Then a week later, she said she went to the Cranford Street Joe's Garage. And she asked him about that. And the chef said, oh, I wouldn't eat that bloody shit. He said, blimmin' venison. I used to eat it when I was a child. He says, it's horrible, wild venison. So that's our problem. Well, one of the issues we have is the fact of addressing what you guys produce and what's wild. But we just keep plugging away with it because you guys produce such a fantastic product. So we will win in the end. Right. So one thing about the Fine Food Show was we got to meet a guy called Phil Lemon, who's another wonderful product of Dunsandel Primary, like myself. So Phil, he's helping us with sort of business mentoring me and trying to knock a few of the rough edges off. But he said, look at our product here on the shelf in the New World. And it's amazing. We sell a lot of meat to supermarkets, but we always want to sell more. And like, it just looks a bit mishmash. So then he said, look, let's see if we can up it a bit. So what we've done is we're working on trialing and getting the packaging right. So we've done sort of 3 main cuts just at the start. We've done a mince, well, 4 actually, ossobuco for the winter. And we've done a mock-up of a label that we think would go quite good. Now, the other tricky thing with supermarkets is they don't want another, what they perceive as a Meatworks. So unfortunately, Mountain River slips into that where they'll have our logo, which is they regard as a niche or artisan producer. But as you can see, like we've got our hit main things here, 100% farmed. And we can, and then we've got the opportunity here, we've changed it to we have a venison rump, which is always my favourite. But if I have a rump, it has a bit of rump hasn't got it's not a premium steak product. So marketing thing here, we thought we'd put fillet on it, a rump fillet. I know it's a bit of a made up cut, but how do we get it to the customer where they know they're getting a premium product? So that's what we've got there. And then, right, those were just a mock-up, and this is another furthering on where we have a wraparound sticker with a bit of a story on the back, QR code, so that they can get recipe ideas, etc., etc. And we've also been lucky enough we can get the Mountain River brand on too, which is to us very important because that's, you know, like we are all a team. But so it's just, we feel that we've got a better, when we go into the supermarkets, the butchery managers that have seen this packaging are going like, hey, this is bloody great. We'd love this. It's not over packaged. It's got the correct amount of packaging with it. I'm trying not to be disparaging of other people's packaging, but right, has anyone got any questions about that?
Questions is my bit.
But Donna and I were in the supermarket at Woodland, wasn't it?
Mhm.
And the other people, they had theirs in the plastic and then in a cardboard,
Yeah.
but theirs is more expensive.
They've been doing that for years. And for years, you talk to butchery managers and they all say that New Zealanders have a perception of that. They see it, it's overpackaged. They can't see the product much. And it's sort of, and it is expensive, it's expensive to make that packaging. Plus also, the way it stands for a butchery manager, they've got to have it down the bottom so that it stands straight. And it's not as eye-catching. That was actually in Wigra and New World where we took those few photos in there. So, yeah, and the butchery manager there, he says, I can't wait till you do this and I'll get rid of that other stuff, because he said they don't sell much of it. Like this, I asked a few of the managers, and like they're selling 1 or 2 cartons a week. Then they have it on. They might have it on club card special, and they'll sell a bit, but then it just goes back to, it's not a continuing. We don't, at the moment, we don't special things. We don't, we don't promote it like that. And I don't really want to do that, because exactly, we've got a fantastic product. John's always on about, we've got to get the returns for you guys, and it's all teamwork. And I think if we, like the beauty with the mince and the medallion steaks and the rumps and everything, it's good everyday food. It's not complicated. It's so easy to cook. We were doing the, every time I go and do a trial, I always take the rump in. There's actually another story. I went to a harvest restaurant.
James, no more stories.
No more stories. Oh, Jesus.
If you want James the story, you have to talk to him after.
Yeah.
So I see they're taking the sausages off or whatever it is they're cooking. Any sort of burning questions? If you do, they better be good, because everyone else will. Oh, blimey. See, I haven't even finished. I think we might. This is a customer in the north of China, Dongao Deer Group. And just to give you a quick introduction to what they do, they're one of our customers in China, and they take a big chunk of that 30% that's going into China. It's quite interesting because the opportunity there is quite significant. Next slide. So they're producing health food, but like what's used. Talking about venison, that venison fits into the health food. This one here, it's a deer blood capsule product. There's a lot of opportunity in the deer blood. So the team at the factory, we have 1 or 2 people every day saving the blood. It's another valuable co-product from the deer. Next one. This is the final one. This is a product that the customer has produced a range of products ready to eat, Chinese products. So it's marinated or in spicy format. I think it's a rip open and eat type product. So the opportunity in China, it's a big place. We want to work closely with some key customers there. We supply this company directly, probably 4 or 5 containers a year, steadily build it up, steadily build the value, and over time, I think that'll be a good business, but we need to do it carefully. So thanks for coming. Thanks to all the presenters, Gustav, Angus there. God knows what time it is in Sweden now. He's probably ready for breakfast. We'll have a beer and a drink and some food, guys. So wish you could join us. And 1 year you will be here. Thanks, Donald and Adam, and Kerry, Mary, and Terry and team, and Donna, and the rest of you for coming along. It's been a great experience, and hope you've got something out of today, and spread the word. Thank you. I'll hand back my equipment.
Thank you, guys. We've finished now. Thanks, Gustav. And thanks, Angus. Appreciate it. See you guys next time. Bye. Thank you. Well done to you too.